Hello. We're back. Why is this on Dark Synth? Cat stepped on the power switch. Oh, no one's even here at the moment. That's so unfortunate.
Well, I'll be right back in just like a quick sec.
No worries. Cat, yeah, exactly. That was incredibly unfortunate. Especially because I was just getting ready to do the next part of the giveaway. Okay. We're getting back. We're getting back. Hello there. We're getting back. We're getting back live after cat problems. Hopefully everyone jumps back in. I want to finish the giveaway today. I'd hate to have to end it because Bean decided to step on the power strip. Okay, we're getting some people back. Welcome back, welcome back. My cat stepped on the power strip and turned everything off. Well, while we're trying to retrieve some of the people who were here in stream before, we're going to be doing the next part of the giveaway here shortly. So, if you want to participate in the giveaway, you need to be on Twitch. Great, Dead Phoenix. Awesome. We're gonna be on. It's gonna be on Twitch. It's just easier that way. I haven't had a good chance to vet some other sources. So when the giveaway is going, you can hop onto Twitch, type in whatever the code is I'm gonna give you, and we're going for a $25 gift card. Vesta's annoyed with what happened to her Pantheon. Fair. Everything seems to be okay now. So I'm getting some. I don't think that power strip is connected to the internet though. I don't know. Very weird. Hopefully the jittering stops. Absolute worst time for that to happen, by the way.
Honestly.
Rough. Oh, all right, we'll wait a little bit for people to hop back in. God. We were doing good number wise too. For one of our streams anyway. We were above 20 viewers for the majority of the stream.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like I have a blanket I keep at the foot of my computer, like near my power strip, because I'm like, this dang cat. And the one that always hit me was my cat will specifically like hard target my PC power button whenever she jumps on my computer to jump on my desk.
Yeah,
So
fortunately, I don't have a power
it's so
button
annoying.
like on my computer. It's like a little button on the side.
Just so lucky. I don't know how she does it. It's not. There's so many other places to jump. No, she hard targets that spot, and so like, I have two modes of protection. There's a setting on Windows to actually turn off that button. You can just make it so that button does nothing. And then I have a portable hard drive that I have set over it with it has like a really nice case and then gaps. So like there's no way that it can be pressed. I have 2 layers of defense because she endlessly turned it off and it was so annoying. Also, fun little thing, Cam, just because I was pulling it up. Did you know that if you open up just the tier list maker website, one of the top tier list makers for Pathfinder is the one you made?
Yeah, I don't think many people have actually done tier lists.
Surprisingly.
It's also my most viewed video, I think. Or no, one of them.
The only thing that needs to get added here is, I think, Kineticist and then Animist and Exemplar.
Yep.
Which, yeah, no, Animist and Exemplar aren't even on Archive and Ethos yet.
Well, that's unfortunate. It seems like we just lost a bunch of people. That's unfortunate. What can you do? Well, let's do the next part of the giveaway, shall we? I think it's as good a time as any. I'll make the time a bit longer though. I'll just make it for the end of stream. Giveaway. Can I get rid of this giveaway? Archive. There we go. All right. And no better code, I think, than #cat. And we'll just set it for the end of stream. Today at 1800. All right. #cat, capital C. You want to participate in the giveaway. Also, thank you for Ravenspath for the follow. It's not necessary for the giveaway. But #cat for the $25 gift code to Into the AM. Get some nice shirts. Good holiday gifts. Gotta be on Twitch, and I'll send you a message with the code when you win, if you win. So, #cat, capital C, like other people have been doing. Oh, and my PDF closed too. Also, any other questions for Divine Mysteries, if you have any? But other than that, like, I don't know. I love books that are more lore and flavor filled than like purely mechanical. Like War of Immortals, I don't think was a bad book, but I think compared to like many of the other books, it didn't offer that same kind of vibe for many other things. And so it's just like, here's some classes, here's some archetypes, here's a whole rule set that you may or may not use. I didn't even do videos on the mythic archetypes. I thought I was going to, but from everything I kept reading, a lot of people were just not interested in the mythic archetypes. The mythic destinies, rather.
Yeah. I know a personal reason I'm not is just because there's not really many opportunities, I believe, that we're going to be using it.
Yeah.
So it's just like, eh.
So it was one of those things where so far the giveaway only has 2 people in it. If anyone else wants that $25 gift card, hashtag cat in the Twitch chat. It's I get it. And like, that's the thing with tabletop, right? Tabletop just takes a lot of time. A campaign, even a short campaign, like our Mutants and Masterminds campaign is not even 10 sessions yet. And it's been going on for like several months. Since August, late August or early September.
Yeah. Which that's like the thing. It takes a while, and it's just gonna. It's an investment.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, how many games are honestly scaling to that high thing? And I see a lot of the discussions when I'm like actually like when they stumble across my feed. It's people who are disappointed at them mechanically. It seems. That seems to be more what it is. People are saying it's not what they wanted, and I when I'm reading through it, I'm more like, I don't know what exactly you did want out of it. Because this seems to be like what we were gonna get when it comes to the Pathfinder 2nd edition stuff. Unless you wanted like kind of a power trippy thing.
Like I understand that like it's an alternate rule set, and I'm not upset that it exists. I think it's fine. I think giving players more options on how to play the game is only a good thing.
Yeah.
I think the problem is alternate rules are not a big target for people who play casually. And I feel like that is a thing that I'm disappointed that the niches are so narrow. I mean, yeah, and the other thing about it is it's kind of more narratively driven than anything. So like a big part of the mythic stuff isn't even the rules, but necessarily the story that's being told around them, which is really hard to like present in a book. I think it's good. I don't mind that it exists necessarily. Yeah, there's also that too. So it's something that like it's a rule set more aimed at like hardcore tabletop players, kind of like us who play regularly, but you know, we also just play other games. So it's just like, if I wanted to play something that was different than Pathfinder's regular rule set, I'll probably just play another system rather than playing an alternate rule set. So I think the mythic rules were fine. I think if anything, maybe it just took up too much like too much space in the War of Immortals book. Like the mythic destinies, I think it just took up too much space, and I think that's just the thing. That's like, oh, I'm not using half this book. Like, I don't think it's bad that it exists, but it probably should have just been a alternative book, you know, a auxiliary book rather than like a core book that has 2 classes in it kind of deal. And I think that was just kind of One day a Mythic AP will be made and it'll be real cool, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's honestly more than anything. I just think like if they're going to drop Mythic stuff, there just needs to be a bit more with it. Because I think the inclusion of Mythic, honestly, with my philosophy on tabletop in general, I'm happy that it's a thing. I'm happy it exists. I'm happy it's included, because more options, more rules, the better. That I like having a lot of variant rules.
Yeah.
The bit that makes it difficult, and for I think a lot of people, is simply the fact that like just not even the fact that people are all debating right now, is the rules actually good? From those discussions, I don't think a lot of them are actually playing the game. I think they're just reading it and being like, I am disappointed with these. I feel like if they had them in their hands, they'd be saying something a little different.
Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe. But one thing I think that would make a big difference is that idea of playing games with these rules. Because if there were adventure paths that specifically were made with Mythic rules in mind, I feel like that would change a lot of things. Because in my head, my first thought is like, well, why is Mythic rules different when you have something like Wrath of the Righteous, where a big aspect of that game is like, oh yeah, which Mythic path am I going to go down in that game? How am I going to do this? It's like, okay, so what's the fundamental difference? Is it actually the rules here? Or is it like the difference of there's a tailored experience and throwing people this stuff with your character like ascending? You just need like a thing that's directly made for it. And when you just throw out a big giant variant rule with all of this detail and then kind of throw it out there, people are going to look at it and be like, well, that's neat, I guess. I'm never going to use this. I feel like that's resounding kind of what the issue is.
Yeah. So, you know, it would have been better off if it was just like, it's like the Mythic book, you know, rather than like a book that included new classes, class archetypes, like a lot of things people really wanted. And I don't know, it's just, unfortunately, when it comes to like discourse, something I've really found is just we're all just not playing the same game. Like, plain and simple, it's a game of make-believe, and some GMs are just more orientated towards some forms of play than others. So it's like, for instance, if you do society play, you're playing a very kind of rigid game that is mostly combat and exploration with not a lot of wiggle room for roleplay. Yeah, but they also can't do a Mythic only book because then no one would buy it. Yeah, well then maybe it shouldn't have been made, you know? Like, that's a question we have to ask ourselves, is like, if it had an AP or something, sure. It's just like, it's inarguable that what happened with the War of Immortals book kind of just was such a meh book for what should have been one of the biggest releases of the year, honestly. And I don't think it's necessarily Paizo's fault, but I think it's just it's a thing with the tabletop community in general, that when you have a big alternate rule set that takes up, like, this is the first time in this edition anyway, they've released a alternate rule set that took up so much space in a book, pretty much. And I think maybe that was just a bad call. Like, it could have been something that they could have split between itself and Divine Mysteries, for instance. Like, put the Mythic rules in for alternate play, and then the Mythic Destinies and, like, Divine Mysteries. Maybe they could have shaken things up a little bit differently. I don't know. But all I do know is it kind of just underperformed, which is sad. I don't think it's bad. I don't even think War of Immortals is necessarily a bad book. But I'm not the only one the books are made for. So that's something to consider. Talking about considering things, we have less than 10 minutes. If you want to participate in the giveaway, you have to be on Twitch. You have to type #cat with a capital C. At the end of the hour, we're going to be giving away a $25 gift card for Into the AM. So it needs to be on Twitch. Hop on over, type #cat. You can jump back to YouTube if that's your preferred platform, and then I'll send you a message if you win. So if anyone else is interested, #cat, because my internet went down because my cat stepped on the power button. Playtesting the rules so they could, yeah, I mean, it's just a thing where I think that the delivery, and like, this was a really rough year for Paizo, because not only do they produce more books than they really ever have, which had to be stressful, but also the remaster was just a huge project that took away a lot from what they were developing. And so that's why I feel like some of the books feel a bit more off than normal, because they had so much of their development team kind of spread out thin, that I think we were just getting people working on like what felt like core material that weren't necessarily core developers. You know what I mean?
If they had more time for stuff, I feel like there would have been these books would be different. And honestly, I kind of agree with this message again. Like, if anything, one thing I believe could have made like a modicum of difference. I don't think it would have made like that big of a difference. I think it just would have made like a dent in stuff. I think having an AP alongside the War of Immortals book, just directed, even if it's like a short one, like shorter than some of like the big stuff, strictly to be like, this is dedicated for like characters to play with the mythic rules. I think that could have made a difference. Would have been really cool at the very least to like, let's make a adventure path for people to like ascend to some higher thing, which honestly would just be neat to see some designers and like some of the cool shit they could throw at people.
Yeah.
I want to see the mythic encounter math that the designers can pull out more than anything. I don't know how much that would do, but like it's one of the things I can point to is a lot of people like kind of being resoundingly meh as like, I'm never going to use this. But then if they're like, all right, we have this really cool alternate rule set and a method to play them, I think GMs would be like, okay. Like the GMs who only do adventure path games. I feel like that would get a lot of people a little more interested.
You know, honestly, now that I'm really thinking about it, I think they could have just done all the mythic rules and everything in like one super, like 1 to 20 adventure book, kind of like what we had for Kingmaker or Fist of the Ruby Phoenix, even though I know that's not 1 to 20, but still like a big, like, it's like, here's the adventure path and all the rules for it that you can then use for your own games kind of thing. I feel like that would have satisfied both crowds at the same time. Literally,
like, if that released next to War of the Immortals, because I know that's they wanted to pair with that because of how tied into the theme it was, especially then with Divine Mysteries, because like it's just the theme that they're trying to shoot for.
Right.
If it has like a similar release schedule, like sure, even if it's like releasing around now or like a month before or like whenever, I think that could have made a difference. Like, I just think like the big fumble, if any, like, is just the fact that it's a giant alternate rule set without examples or avenues of playing it. Because I just see a lot of people kind of, the only thing they can do is kind of sit, read it, and stew on it, and then kind of idly critique it and read other people in the Paizo cycle that I see with like releasing stuff where all they do is kind of look at it and then be weirdly negative about it. Even though like a lot of the stuff I'm looking at in this book, for example, I read it and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Some of the critiques I've read on the Reddit, I'm not even seeking them out, where they're saying like, I think this thing is bad, and now I'm reading the feats here, and I'm like, what are you talking about? That's so good. Like, that's so cool. Like, what? It doesn't do like it doesn't play the game as optimally as possible. I don't know. So it's if there's like a big book like that, I think it'd be a fun method of releasing it, kind of like what Wrath of the Righteous did, and then you could market it kind of similar to that. I don't know. Like it marketed as like the next Kingmaker. Granted, we're saying, oh hey Paizo, you know what you could have done? Do a massive other project. It's that easy, right? But
Right.
like it's easier said than done, of course. But like that is that at least I could see making a difference on the rule of reception.
It's just like I would prefer War of Immortals perform better, and a mythic AP with all the mythic rolls and everything do worse.
I do wish there was like any form of public data on how this stuff is, because like I wonder if War of the Immortals is actually performing worse compared to other books.
Yeah. Unfortunately. Also, we only have a couple minutes left. If you want to get into the giveaway, now is your chance on Twitch. #cats. The giveaway is got a couple minutes left. So if you want a giveaway, want to be in the giveaway, I would hop in now, because otherwise you're gonna get that $25 gift code away. But yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot that could have been done differently, but it's all hindsight at the end, you know. I don't think anyone really anticipated it doing the way it did, at least through online perception, right? Again, who knows how many people actually bought the book, but through online perception, it was kind of a stinker. So I really hope that Paizo learned a lot from this year and takes a lot of it moving forward. I mean, like I said, Divine Mysteries is really, really good. If anyone's going to complain about anything in Divine Mysteries, then they're obviously not playing TTRPGs the way that like Paizo is intending people to play. Like, again, the investigator dedication. I like it. The Palatine Detective is really cool, but you're not a spellcaster. It just gives you some extra tools, and it's not a very combat savvy class. None of those are the points. Thoughts on Blood Rager Commander party combo? Does the Commander have enough action economy to make the Blood Rager more viable? I think Blood Rager is plenty viable, so I don't know what you're talking about.
And then Commanders, we only have the playtest, so maybe.
Like, Blood Rager isn't supposed to be using spells every round. I think that might be a misconception. Their spells they're using are supposed to be in the situations where the spells would be useful. Having a martial character class that has an opportunity to do some decent AoE damage stuff is pretty good, honestly. If anything, I had to complain about Blood Rager, it's the health economy and the fact that the class is just a little... It's very stat intensive. Anyway, that's it for the giveaway, so I guess we get to draw one of our 2 entries. Hey, Dev Phoenix, congratulations. You got the other code. Long-time member of the channel. You know what? I'm not upset.
I mean, you do spellcasting, your action economy is going to be a little... it's just what happens when one of your primary features is 2 actions. But, you know, just don't cast spells all the time.
Okay, grab this code. And let me double check real quick. Yep, is the other code. Good. You win. Boom. So you go to the website. You just put this gift code in when you're making your purchase, and it is worth $25. So congratulations. If the code does not work for you for whatever reason, let me know, and hopefully I'll get down to the bottom of it. But as far as I know, these are one-time codes, and I haven't used any of them. So congratulations. Hear me out. I know Kinesis is supposed to take the place of the Warlock, but the Blood Rager feels more like a Warlock to me, so I would love it if it could cast a spell every turn. I mean, that's a you problem then. It's like, it's not what I want is what I'm hearing. And that's a you problem. Like, I don't know what to say. Also, it's not, like, Kinesis isn't supposed to be the Warlock. Kineticist is the Kineticist.
If what you mean is the fact that Kineticist has one kind of de facto blast, like 5e has all Warlocks do in 5e's, Eldritch Blast, Eldritch Blast, Eldritch Blast. But I don't even think you have to do that thing.
Like, Blood Rager is a barbarian that can do some extra spell damage. It uses spell attacks, though, which I think is a little oof.
Yeah, I feel like if it didn't do that, I think it'd be a lot stronger. I feel like that was an intentional balancing thing, but it also kind of shot the Blood Rager in the leg.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
But, like, having a martial character that has a way, especially a barbarian who has the most HP of any class, is really solid. Even though it doesn't do the rage damage, just the, like, AoE potential is really, really good. It's just the rage damage on spell attack rolls makes it a bit rougher. But there are ways to boost spell attacks. So, you know, Blood Rager is just, it's more just a barbarian that's got some fun flavor. It's a different style of barbarian. It's not supposed to be like, this is the thing with hybrid classes, right? It's not supposed to be as good as either of the two parts. It's not supposed to be as barbarian, but it's not supposed to be as caster as casters are. So you're going to get a character with more things they can do, but less efficiency in both categories. Well, and that's just the thing, right? You're just also making cross references. It's like, okay, this seems kind of Warlocky, so I wish it was more like Warlock. Again, that's kind of a you problem. Play a Warlock, you know, skin another class to be that way. Blood Rager is that's Blood Rager.
That's more Witch that you kind of sounds like you want to go.
Like, one of the core features of Blood Rager is making martial attacks, you know.
Though isn't the Blood Rager thing, isn't that based on a bloodline?
Nope.
Oh, it's not that.
No, it used to be in first edition.
Ah, that's where I got that from. Okay. I knew the part of it was a bloodline thing. I didn't know if that got altered.
No, I mean, I think it's fun. I think it's really interesting, and, you know, Barbarian is such a powerful class inherently. So it's just like, to cap all this off, you play Blood Rager because you want to play Blood Rager. That's the whole point of the class archetypes. Like, if you don't like the way it was done, then it wasn't designed for you to play it like the way you wanted to play it. So I don't know. I like many of the class archetypes. I think people just really misunderstand what the point of class archetypes were, and so War of Immortals just got so bogged down with people who were like, "This is not optimal," or "This isn't that good," or "This blah blah blah," and it's like there are play style differences. Battle Harbinger is not a good cleric. It's a shit cleric. It gets way less opportunity for healing in general. No special benefits for it. And it trades all that cleric healing stuff to be essentially a whole different class. So, you know.
Yeah. it is like, do you want to play a fighter with a bit more cleric than you can get than a cleric multiclass? Like, you have, it is like a different class, but not so far that you are playing like fighter, essentially. It's different. It's its own thing.
Yeah.
And it's its own little beast. But I think it's a good way of putting it. It's like, Battle Harbinger is not a good cleric, but also that's just not the good way to think about it. It's not trying to be like, oh, the best way to play cleric.
Right. And that's the same thing with Blood Rager. Like, I think there are very valid complaints with Blood Rager. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. We've aired them out.
Yeah, like Blood Rager's stat dependency, you need strength or dex, mostly strength probably, to hit things because that's a core part of it. Also charisma, and then your spells, all of them, even the cantrips, cost you HP to use, which means you want as much constitution as you can have. Makes it really stat dependent. And because especially because it's based on spell attack rolls are already like consistently seen in the system as kind of being a statistical problem, because the math puts spell attack rolls underneath baseline. And so in order to make spell attack rolls viable, you have to debuff the enemies to get them there. But then you're a Blood Rager. It's not going to be your key attribute, charisma. So you're a step below already what's below baseline, essentially. Which makes it rough, honestly, which makes it hard. I think there's a lot of viable ways to play Blood Rager. I think Blood Rager is fun, and I think in a grand majority of games, Blood Rager will be okay. It'll be fine. It'll be fun. Like, I want to play a Seneschal Witch, which has almost zero real combat effectiveness. Almost. But I think that would be an incredibly fun time because of the exploration and the roleplay elements of it. Like, those parts are really, really good. So Blood Rager has a lot of really interesting roleplay benefits and has some interesting mechanics. Like, I love the fact that they can just drink blood and gain a spell, essentially, based on that blood. I think that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But, like, there does need to be some line where mechanically it's at least somewhat viable. So, you know, I think Blood Rager is in a very weird, precarious place. I think it's interesting, and I think people have tons of fun with it. But if you're wanting a spellcaster, play a spellcaster. Plain and simple. Like, I don't know what much more to say. It doesn't have an optimal damage rotation because the spellcaster part is not for damage. It's for variety and like giving you more mechanical tools. So thank you, Shadow Wolf, for the sub.
I also gotta say, that's a really good point that Phoenix just made. That Battle Harbinger does honestly like feel more like a kind of video gamey paladin in that way.
I agree.
The bit I've played of World of Warcraft, it does like remind me of that a lot. That is the vibe I remember, is like big weapon and then you just have AoEs of buffing or debuff. That is just the vibe.
I like how there's different ways you can play the style with it as well, which I think makes for a really good class archetype.
Exactly. That was where I was reading through it and I'm like, oh, I want both of these. Damn, this is a hard choice.
Yeah. Especially because the Palatine Detective, as much as I love the idea, it really just plays into one style character, right? You're an investigator who is just kind of entwined with occult and religious stuff. Interesting, but multiple versions of the same Palatine Detective are going to be mostly the same with maybe some slightly different focuses. But when it comes to like Battle Harbinger, you're straight up like, there's just different ways you can play this particular class. And with especially the addition of Malediction and Benediction, like The AC aura thing is sick. I think that's really, really cool. And the fact that you can boost that just by critting the enemy, very good. Very, very solid. It really enforces team play, and it reinforces you to want to attack as much as possible. And you're still a cleric, even though you don't get much above expert spell casting, which is a little sad because Magus gets at least master, in both. But Magus doesn't get as many free spell slots. So, I understand the balancing point. Regardless, expert spellcasting really doesn't matter if all you're using are like buff spells. So, like Heroism. Oh my god. Heroism on a Battle Harbinger, insane. Like, imagine Heroism, big stat boost. Your Battle Creed is Bane or is a Malediction, and you're reducing the enemy's AC. So you get a big buff to hit, higher than other marshals standardly. And then if the enemy fails their will save, which by the way, you have insane proficiency with because it's based on class DC rather than spell DC, which is nuts considering you get legendary class DC, which also is huge. Like, you can become a crit monster as a Battle Harbinger. And every time you crit, the enemy's AC goes down more and more and more. And your aura is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So, like, the only bad thing about Battle Harbinger, and I don't remember if it changed its key ability score or not, is like you're split between, they are key wisdom, but they can more than make up for that. Yeah, for sure. So, like, you do need to invest in your wisdom as a Battle Harbinger, which does make them a little bit stat heavy. Not as bad as Blood Rager. But yeah, a crit, like, Battle Harbinger, depending on how the dice roll, can be hitting for a higher stat, a higher accuracy, like, differential than Fighter can, which I think is awesome.
I think you're so high and mighty with your +2. Watch this.
And King Omnicide. So the big thing with the Battle Harbinger is that it loses healing font and it gets battle creeds, and the battle creeds are either Bless or Bane, but you can pick up a feat later that changes or that gives you additionally Benediction and Malediction. And so the whole point of the class archetype is you're a melee character that you throw either a buff or a debuff on, and then you strike the enemy a bunch of times. And if you get the feat that makes it where they start scaling, oof, you're getting scarier. And it's an aura, yeah, and that's the thing. It's an aura too, so your allies are getting the benefit, either reduced enemy AC or just improving their own AC, or even just normal bless, increasing attack bonus and damage bonus. Like, that's also really, really good. So Battle Harbinger, I legitimately think is really, really good. The biggest weaknesses it has is that as essentially a martial class, it doesn't really get any unique strikes besides reactive strike. So, it's one of those ones that you kind of want to do multi-class archetype to get some unique strike actions because they're always better. And you've tossed away pretty much most your healing potential. You can still heal with your remaining spell slots, but mostly what you're going to be doing is you're going to be tossing on 1 or 2 battle auras, because the cool thing about the spells as well is they're not actually sustained spells. You can sustain them to grow them and make enemies re-roll, but you can have multiple on at the same time. Likely you're only going to get to like a max of 2, but still they're pretty good. So like, they play very specifically around being this aura of either like benefit or harm, and I think that's a very interesting way to play. And it's already mixed in with like cleric, so they can get things like domain initiate and all that kinds of stuff to get some of the really good domain spells that are really good for like melee characters. So I genuinely think of the class archetypes I've seen, this is probably the best one mechanically speaking. Like, it just works really, really well for what it intends to do. I think Blood Rager is a little mad. I think Avenger... There's some question of whether Avenger is really as good as something like the Thug or whatever racket that Rogue has. And the... Gosh, what other class archetypes came out? Oh, Vindicator is kind of okay. Like, it's interesting, for sure. It's more urban style, and it's got... It's like, hey, I'm a ranger, but I also have some spellcasting. But again, martial spellcasting kind of stuff. So, you know, like, I think a lot of them make for interesting characters. But Battle Harbinger literally, like, I feel like works super well for the niche it's going for. I hear you say it's a me problem, and I'm sorry you feel that way. The greatest joy I find in Pathfinder is making a character that breaks the mold of what is considered the right way to play. Yeah, but you're asking for it to be a better spellcaster. Like, you're pushing it in a meta direction, right? That's not breaking the mold. It already breaks the mold of what's considered the right way to play. It looks like a divine Magus almost. Yeah, it's got like bounded spellcasting, but it's like a Magus, only it doesn't focus on doing high damage, and more being like a debuffer or a buffer, which I think is good. I think it's interesting to have a different character that uses a similar type of kit in a very unique way.
I think it's a more interesting Magus because it's a Magus without the annoying rotation that I don't want to deal with. Like, yeah, I enjoy, yeah, because also one of the key things that it does is the fact that it has automatic things that happen just by hitting. I hit and I get bonuses. That part I just enjoy. Honestly, I'm gonna, like, the moment it gets dropped on Path Builder, I'm gonna start making builds.
It's like really cool.
Like, I even like even looking at this, I think these class archetypes and like everything, I think these are significantly cooler and more fun than the stuff in like War of the Immortals. I still really like the War of the Immortals one, by the way. I really like Avenger and all that. Avenger, I came up with a concept for a character I definitely want to play in the future. But like a lot of this stuff here is provoking, like, I'm gonna be chewing through this content for a while. There are characters brewing, and that's just what happens. I feel like when you make a lore book, that's what should come out of this. So I like this book. This is, we were talking, like, is this gonna be our favorite Pathfinder book? I think resoundingly and very happily kind of is so far.
I mean, like, I would say of the year. I don't know. The Qiansha character guide was a really, really good book, actually. It added so many really interesting things.
It does. I personally, for what my interests are, though, this is kind of hitting me. I've been waiting for this one in particular, and like I think this is becoming one of my favorite Paizo books. I still think like Guns and Gears and Dark Archive are still like the top of my list, than like with Moangi Expanse, but like this is gonna like have to be on top, or at least like number 2 at least.
I mean, no one's holding you at gunpoint to use that spell strike. I know. It's just one of the problems with it is like so many of their features are based on spell strike. It's like the class thing, and I want to use what the class is built to do. It's and like if I'm not spell striking, then I might as well just play a fighter multi-class wizard or something. So
yeah, I made a wizard that plays like a marshal. Like, I made that. The character build is actually kind of fun. Like, I want to try it out. But like I could just do something different if I'm not gonna spell strike and like use my Magus abilities. If the fix of my issues with Magus is not playing Magus, I'm not gonna play Magus. I don't know.
I mean, and again, we're not saying Magus is objectively a bad class. It's not. It's
I don't believe
objectively
that.
It's a good class.
Yes.
It does what it does very, very well. I played a Magus for a good amount of time. I played Magus for like the second half of Age of Ashes, and man, doing 300 damage with a spell strike is real fun. Don't get me wrong, but and not only that, but like buffing and there's so many things in Pathfinder that because combats are so short, spellcasting for buffs feels really bad a lot of the times. Because you're like, I'm buffed, and the fight's over. Like, you get to use one buff spell, and better hope that that's worth it. Other than that, it's going to be a waste of time.
The thing about it is, like, I've also played Among Us for a decent chunk of time. I understand how it's played. I understand the intent. I understand the method that everything works. And I understand that, objectively speaking, it is well designed. The problem at the end of the day is that I, as a human being, I, as Glue Boy standing in front of you today, do not enjoy it. That's the problem.
Yeah, I mean, like, I get it. Like, I think there are fun ways to play Magus if you just ignore Spell Strike. I tried ignoring Spell Strike, honestly. It's just, it's like, okay, I could strike or use a spell right now, or I could do both. You know what I mean? Like, it just, there's just like this really good option right there in front of you. Because you do want to do damage. And a 2-action strike isn't necessarily that big a deal. It's just the recharge. It's just the, like, it doesn't blend well with other things. And it's just, you know. If I've said many times, if they literally had just made it once per minute as a class feature, I think it would have been better for the class in general. Then it becomes setting up your spell strike rather than trying to get as many out as possible. But anyway,
I honestly think just enhancing your strikes with some sort of like, just negating the fact that you waste a lot of action sometimes and waste a lot of like resources for literally no gain is my biggest problem. And then you just get into like this annoying cycle. That was my biggest turnoff.
Yeah, well, and also if missing a spell strike does feel absolutely terrible. You know what? Actually, I'm just thinking about it now. I think, yeah, well, I mean, we just said that earlier, Dead Phoenix.
Oh yeah. Like, and then Spell Strike is just say the line, Bart.
Yeah.
Spell Strike recharge.
Yeah.
Like, because that's the problem. You just do the same fucking thing every turn. And that's what I like with the Swashbuckler change, is they change the fact that you played the same thing every turn.
Yeah.
You play a character that's built, the gameplay is meant to be spontaneity and really cool actions. What was the gameplay? Turn orders, cycles, the same fucking thing every time to make sure you have panache. They fixed that, and I'm really happy. Now do the same for Magus, please.
Oh yeah, speaking about buying a shirt. By the way, Into the AM has a 60% discount right now, not including my 10% code. So also check out Into the AM if you want to buy shirts, because right now they're dirt cheap. They're they're pretty good shirts too. I've been very happy with all the ones I've had so far. So definitely, it's just reminded me. I didn't actually plug Into the AM. They have a deal from now till December 6th or 8th. I can't remember at the moment. Where you get 60% off on all their stuff. It's really, really good. So go check it out. Hopefully that code worked for you too. So, no, you know what I think actually would have made Magus like way better is if they had an action whereas like your last action was a successful strike. You get to one action do a spell, like not a spell per se, but like a spell effect. Like you spend an action and then you have a inflict fear, reduce enemy's speed, like all kinds of the normal like spell effects that cantrips normally do, with some extra damage on top, you know, with a basic save. kind of thing. I think that would be good, because then it's like the extra action only comes in when you actually hit the enemy. And it could be saved base, so it's not necessarily like just a straight damage buff, but at the same time, like, it would feel better because it feels like you're using opportunities that are coming up for you rather than trying to use a spell strike, you know. I think that would be more interesting. I'd like to tool around with that idea a bit. And like, you could have feats that give you different effects when you use that like spell strike bonus or extra action kind of deal. And you never feel like you miss because it always triggers only after you hit an enemy. So I think that would be a good way to do Moccasin in a way that feels really, really good.
Yeah.
Doesn't fighter have skills that do fear launch? Mostly if they crit. And some other things as well. But to be fair, if Magus was just the class that did that, but with like a lot of things or all the time, fighter having that ability doesn't necessarily take that away from Magus. Because Magus could do other things as well. So that's what I think would make Magus better. Is like, you can still have that 2-action focus, but maybe reduce the damage down, don't have a recharge, and just make it more based on like applying effects to enemies and doing a little bit of extra like elemental damage. I think that'd be really, really cool. But that's gonna be it for the stream. We kind of went over because I felt like we needed to after my cat turned off the stream. Congratulations to Sarek and Dead Phoenix for winning the gift cards. Hopefully y'all enjoy. Oh, Feared went on strike. Okay. And it's 2 actions, yeah. But good stuff coming up. I think I will do Palatine Detective first, because everyone's gonna be doing the Battle Harbinger anyway. And I might even do Mortal Herald, because genuinely I think Mortal Herald's really, really cool. And the art for it is insane. Like the Mortal Herald of Torag looks sick. Just a dwarf with a big ass shield and a burning hammer. Make everyone on their list feel heard with gifts like personalized jewelry, custom artwork, true, vintage pieces, and home decor. I mean, just because other content creators make a thing doesn't mean I shouldn't, but I definitely I can definitely prioritize other things first, at least with that knowledge. But yeah. Oh, we got a commercial. Oh, the thing didn't loop because the cat. Right. But yeah. Alex, you want to leave us off with anything before we head out today?
Yeah. Well, if you are interested in lore content when it comes to tabletop, head over to my channel. It's Glue Boy. You can either look it up or you can go. It's linked in Cam's YouTube. Just go click it. I got a bunch of videos on Trench Crusade if you're interested in that in particular. But coming up, I am going to be making a video on a very fun fantasy series, actually fulfilling a part 2, because it's just on my mind. Good old video on the magic in the Stormlight Archive. Gonna be prepping some more stuff for the Cosmere RPG coming out. And then, for funsies, because I did just literally mention it during this stream, I'm probably in the near future going to make a Pathfinder video. Like, I might actually make something based on like a class tier list just for fun. I think that'd be a good time. So I might fuck around with that in my free time and just toss that out. It might take like a day or so. So yeah, go sub to that if you wanna go look at something lore content wise.
All right, and y'all know I'm gonna be doing some Divine Mysteries for probably like the next week. Every day or almost every day, depending on, life. Life's been very busy lately. It was fun. It was fun doing a giveaway, thanks to Into the AM. Gotta thank them again for that. They got some killer deals going on. And I really recommend checking out my overview video if you haven't checked it out. I really had a lot of fun making that one. And I feel like it's the first step in making a much better type of video, like videos in general, moving forward. So hopefully we'll see some big things for the channel. Also, like, we're getting close to the end of the year. Isn't that crazy? We're already halfway through November. It's been a wild year.
It's honestly, yeah, really crazy.
And I definitely think that Tabletop's in for some very interesting things next year. This was a wild year for Paizo. And we get a Starfinder next year, like full release, which I think is going to be super interesting.
So excited for that.
Also, Plague Watch starts next year, which is crazy. We got some art for it. It's going to be really good. It's going to be the highest level of live play we've done on the channel so far. I'm thankful. Like, I don't know. Let's see here, because I think next week is next week Thanksgiving? I think it is 21st,
28th.
28th. Oh, okay, not next week, so the week after. So,
Which I will be out of town.
yeah, I will be out of town that Thursday as well. So we will have a stream next week probably, but we will not have a stream the following week. But before any of that, I just want to say thank you all for helping this channel kind of grow and making this a lot of fun. I really feel like Tabletop's moving in a very interesting direction, and I'd like to be a part of that movement. And I know a lot of you are very, inspired by that movement as well. And so we'll be working hard into the next year to be doing that. But I guess we'll go ahead and say goodnight for now.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.